actually cut my hair, as you may see, but that's not actually why I'm making this video. And I'm making it because I know some of you have exams coming up, and I thought it'd be good to pass on some of my acquired knowledge to you guys. So I've written some tips and tricks on my laptop here, and if I do look down, then just bear that in mind. So let's begin. A really common question is, when should I start revising? And I would tell you as soon as possible. I started revising for my GCSEs last year in like January 2015, and mine were in June, so I had about 6 months of revision, and I started with about 4 hours a week and just built it up as it got closer to the exams. But it's honestly up to you how many hours you think are best for you, but just start early so that you have enough time to learn and revise everything. Okay, now a really great tip is to have a planner. Now my school gave me a planner last year, so I used that, but if your school doesn't do that, then you can just buy a cheap planner or just make your own planner. Just buy a cheap book, like notebook, and just write the date at the top and just write everything you've got to do for that day. Also, a calendar could be really helpful. I used mine just to write in my exam dates and then just tick days off as I went along. Also, if you find that having like a revision timetable, if that's useful for you, then I'll just leave a website link down below in the description box, because I think there's a really good one for doing that and it's free. And whilst on the topic of websites, my teachers have also recommended to me Bite Size since very early on, so I'll also leave that link down below because it's a really good revision website. Next up, if you don't understand something, then just ask your teachers. That's what they're there for, and it's better to just ask there and then when you aren't sure, rather than waiting until before your exam and you've got an hour to go and you don't understand how to do algebra. That's not good. So just tackle that early on. Okay, find where you work best. For me, it's either at school or local library, but just not in my room because I'm a really big procrastinator and I just get distracted so easily if I'm at home. But just find a quiet place where you feel comfortable revising and learning. How to revise. Now, I found it really helpful summarising like the revision guide for every subject. I had a revision guide, I think, for every subject, and I just read a page and then made notes on it. And also I used cue cards, and then I would transfer some of that information onto cue cards as well, because I found that it was a really good way for my family to quiz me, for my friends to quiz me, for myself to quiz myself, if that makes sense. But just, it's also fun to just do it with your friends, and this is a good way to go about it. For English language or literature, I know you're going to get like some novels and poems, and it's really helpful reading the novels at least 3 times and just getting really familiar with the poems as well. I know that they're not perhaps the most interesting books and poems, but I just got on with it and just read Of Mice and Men like 10 times, not that many, but about 3 times, and I like knew the book back to front and front to back, and it was just really useful to do that, and I did that for all of the books that we were given as well. In class, just make notes on what your fellow pupils, friends, teachers say about plot, characters, anything that you think could be relevant to what you might get asked to do in an exam. Just make notes on it, and then if they are useful, then you can transfer them on cue cards or flashcards, I know they're also called, and yeah, just make notes. Past papers. Do past papers. Do as many past papers as you can. Saying that, I did all of the past papers I could find for French, and the exam was still very difficult, and that's very sad. But if you do enough past papers, you'll kind of see a pattern in how they're worded and the way the questions are asked, And then you can just either mark it yourself, which I really recommend, and then after you've marked it yourself, then just also give it to your teacher to mark so that you know you're marking your work fairly. And they can also give you feedback on it, so that's really useful if you have enough time to just do a few past papers. For science, those are really good because they're always worded in the same way. Maths as well, just go onto the exam board and find papers or just ask your teacher. English as well, yeah, English is kind of like that, and just most subjects they will have like quite similar exam papers, so they just like have different topics on them, and that's how they're like the main difference, so it's like really easy to do. Also, good point that I've written down, teach others. If you've got a sibling or something and they would be interested to learn what you're learning, I know that that's happened to my friend and she was teaching her little sister science, so just do that. I personally didn't teach anyone, but I heard that it's really helpful. I did actually help my friend with some maths, which is quite good because I found that you get asked questions and then you have to explain stuff, so it's a really good way for you to just recall on some knowledge and just, you know, teach others. Also repetition, if you repeat something enough it will eventually go in, so if you just keep writing facts or keep writing dates, if you're doing history, I didn't, but you know, if you keep telling someone about it, or if you keep, I don't know, somehow recalling on the information, you will eventually learn it, so that's a good way to just keep practicing and ensure that the knowledge is there. Also, after school clubs, if you've got some, I don't know, extra revision for geography, then go to that, or English, or anything like that could be really useful for you because you're in that learning environment and you can get some help from a teacher and just good learning opportunity. Also, my school did these like summer clubs as well, so we would come in for about 3 hours for a particular subject during the half term or holidays or something, and then the teacher would give us past papers and questions, and they would ask us to quiz each other and just get like learning and just revising, but as a group and in like a more fun way instead of just sitting at home and just writing facts on your notebook or something. So that was really good. And huge tip, don't procrastinate. Don't just put off learning thinking that it will eventually go away, because it doesn't, and exams are really big, especially like your end of year ones, like your GCSEs, and I'm not really sure how other countries do it, but procrastinating is not good. Just get on learning, and eventually, you know, exams don't last forever. It's just, you know, a month of your life. That's what it was like for me. So just do the work now and then you can just relax later. Also, don't compare yourself to other people like in your class, because that only puts you down. For example, if you see your friend getting a better grade than you, that honestly does not mean that they will do better in an exam. That doesn't mean that you have to give up because there are other people doing other things, and just try and just concentrate on your work and not other people around you, because they're doing their stuff and you should do your stuff as well. And I think that pretty much concludes this video. I have tried to keep it short and sweet. I hope it's worked, but by browsing the internet you're not going to find the perfect way of getting A stars. You aren't going to find some special formula that you can just use and everything is going to be fine. You honestly just have to put in the work, and eventually, you know, you'll do your exam and then you'll get your grades and then it'll be over. So good luck, and I honestly hope that this has helped, but I will leave those websites linked down below and hopefully they'll help. Thank you for watching. Bye.